Hansel and Gretel. Once there lived a poor woodcutter who had come upon hard times. He could no longer feed his wife and children. "Tomorrow we will take the children deep into the forest, and there we will leave them," said the children's stepmother. "I cannot do that to my own children," the man said. "If you don't, then all four of us will starve," said the wife. And she gave him no peace until he agreed. Hansel and Gretel had overheard what their stepmother said. "Don't worry, I know what to do," said Hansel. As soon as the adults fell asleep, Hansel crept outside and filled his pockets with pebbles. The next morning, the stepmother woke Hansel and Gretel. She told them they were going to collect wood and gave them each a small piece of bread. As they walked, Hansel kept stopping. "What are you doing?" his father asked. "I'm looking at my cat sitting on a roof," Hansel said. "You fool! That is just the morning sun shining on the chimney." The stepmother scolded, but Hansel had not been looking at his cat. He had been dropping pebbles onto the path. When they were deep in the forest, their father said, "You children gather wood and I will make a fire, so you won't freeze." When the fire was lit, the stepmother told the children to wait while she and their father went to cut more wood. Hansel and Gretel ate their bread and waited, but no one came to get them. When it grew dark, Gretel began to cry. "Don't worry," Hansel said. The pebbles Hansel had dropped glistening in the moonlight, and the children followed them home. When their father saw them, he was overjoyed. The stepmother pretended that she was happy too, but secretly she was angry. Can you read this one? Not longer afterward, Hansel and Gretel heard the stepmother tell their father, "We again have very little food, so we must be rid of the children." When their parents were asleep, Hansel went to gather pebbles, but this time the door had been locked by the stepmother. In the morning, the stepmother gave Hansel and Gretel even smaller pieces of bread, which Hansel secretly dropped as they walked along the path. Now the children were left even deeper in the forest. Once again, they waited by a fire, but no one came to get them. As it grew darker, Gretel began to cry. "Don't worry, the moonlight will shine on the pieces of bread, and we will find our way home," Hansel said. But when they looked for the bread, they realized that it had been eaten by the birds. For 3 days, Hansel and Gretel tried to find their way out of the forest. They were terribly hungry, and when they came to a little house built entirely from bread with a roof made of cake and windows made of sugar, they began to gobble down pieces of the house when they heard a voice calling from inside. "Nibble, nibble, little mouse, who is nibbling at my house?" Suddenly the door opened, and out came an old woman. Hansel and Gretel were so frightened they dropped what they were eating. But the old lady said, "Oh, you dear children, come inside with me and you will be just fine." She served them a delicious meal, and Hansel and Gretel went to sleep thinking they were in heaven. But the woman only pretended to be friendly. She was really a wicked witch who built her sweet house in order to tempt children and capture them for a tasty meal. While Hansel and Gretel slept, the witch looked at them. "They will be a good mouthful," she said. In the morning, she grabbed Hansel and locked him in a cage. She ordered Gretel to cook for her brother so he could be fattened up. Every day, the witch said to Hansel, "Stick out your finger so I can feel if you are fat enough." But the witch had bad eyes, so Hansel would stick out a little bone that Gretel gave him. The witch wondered why he wasn't getting any fatter. The witch grew hungrier and hungrier, and finally she could wait no longer. She told Gretel to fetch water in which her brother was to be boiled while she made bread. When she told Gretel to climb inside the oven to see if it was not hot enough, but Gretel could see that the witch planned to bake her. So she said, "I don't know how. How? Show me." "Stupid goose. The opening is big enough. I could get you in myself," the witch cackled as she stuck her head into the oven. Quickly, Gretel gave the witch a shove and pushed her all the way inside. While the witch burned, Gretel ran and unlocked Hansel's cage. Hansel and Gretel jumped for joy and filled their pockets with the witch's precious stones and pearls. Then they found their way back home. Their father rejoiced to see them, for he had not had a happy day since they had been gone. During their time away, their stepmother had died. Now all their cares were at an end, and they lived happily together. The end.